Hello and welcome to Ask Me for a Trend. I'm Josh Lipton, and for the next half hour, we are breaking down the trends of today that'll move stocks tomorrow. There's a lot to keep track of, so we're focusing on what you need to know to get ahead of the curve. Here's some of the trends we're going to be diving into. Investors seeing red today on Wall Street, stocks slumping as the White House ratchets up economic pressure and Trump's global trade war. At the end of today's session, all the major indices did close lower. And should Elon Musk just mind his business? We're looking at the impact of his outsized political ambitions as investors watch Tesla stocks slide. We're taking a look at Musk's plans and others in the past who try to implement a third political party in the United States. Not an easy task, we know. And digital assets getting big backing from recent U.S. legislation and also more exposure when it comes to corporate finance backing. We're taking a deep dive into the current state of crypto. Well, President Trump and Elon Musk's on-again, off-again feud is back on again after the Tesla CEO says he wants to start a new political party over the weekend. Investors may be growing tired of Musk's political rhetoric and wishing he would put business first. To that end, we're joined now by senior columnist Rick Newman. Rick, welcome. What is the latest?
Hey, Josh. Well, Musk threatened before Congress signed the big tax bill and Trump signed before Congress passed it and Trump signed it. He hated that tax bill, and he said if Congress went through with it and Trump signed it, he was going to form a third political party. And now he says he's doing that after Trump did sign the bill. It's going to be called the America Party, I guess. And this is an interesting idea, but you have to wonder, does Musk know that many others have tried this, and he's even following kind of a familiar script, which is somebody who claims to be a centrist, disgusted with both parties because they both Democrats and the Republicans have in one way or another just driven the national debt up to unsustainable proportions. And you wanted something more sensible than that. So Musk says he's going to be the guy who finally gets it done. But there are a lot of reasons why. There have been a lot of people who tried to form third political parties in the United States. It has never worked at best. And even this is a long shot. You might be a spoiler in a close national race. But Musk is just not going to be able to do this. That doesn't mean he cannot be politically influential, but it's probably not going to happen if he really does try to form this third party.
Yeah, Rick, you make a great point about the spoiler. I remember back when H. Ross Perot, who famously said, the bottom line is the bottom line, and that's the bottom line, which was sort of an Elon Musk, I'm a capitalist and I'm going to come in here and make everything right. But yeah, he was a spoiler for George Bush and helped, I would argue, Bill Clinton get elected. I mean, do you think there's actually a legitimate way for Elon Musk to create the whole machinery that's needed, the architecture that's needed for a party?
No, and there's nothing that's different. I mean, so Ross Perot is probably the most famous example of somebody in recent times who ran as an independent. He got 19% of the popular vote in the 1992 presidential election, but he got 0 electoral votes in either 92 or 96 when he tried to run again. So he may have helped tipped it over to Bill Clinton, but that's not what Elon Musk is talking about, I don't think. I mean, maybe he does want some kind of revenge against President Trump. I mean, without getting into the political technicalities here, we do have kind of a winner-take-all system with the Electoral College. It's very difficult for a new party to get on the ballot in states. I mean, that's a huge barrier, because if you're not even on the ballot in every state, how can you expect to win a national election? Now, Musk says he's going to maybe target a few specific races. I think he's talking about congressional seats, House or Senate, and maybe try to defeat some incumbents he doesn't like. I guess he could do that, but you don't really need to form a political party to do that. You form a political action committee, which Elon Musk already has, which up till now has been in the service of Donald Trump. So if Musk keeps going on this, I think he's going to take back his political action committee and target that at something other than what Donald Trump's priorities have to be. That's one thing you can do. You don't have to form a party to do that, and you can target candidates that you either favor or oppose in either party. You don't even you're actually not even supposed to coordinate with those campaigns the way super PACs, the more expensive political action committees go. I'm getting all wound up here. We could go on, and I think we will be going on and on. Plenty of time to talk about this into 2026. There are certainly things Musk can do. Probably one of the least effective would be forming a political party.
Last question, Rick, and help me think through this, just something I'm noodling on. What did Musk think was the viable alternative to the big, beautiful bill? I mean, he didn't like it. He's clear about that. But if that bill doesn't go through, taxes go up. And it's just hard for me to see, on top of that, what more cutting Republicans were going to be able to do than they did, just realistically and politically. Or am I thinking about it incorrectly?
No, I think you're spot on, Josh. And I think what you're getting at is that Elon Musk is politically naive. I mean, you can look at what happened with the Doge Commission to understand that. I mean, Musk thought that all he had to do as the he wasn't even a real government employee. Trump just said, you're going to be a volunteer for 6 months. Go ahead and slash the federal bureaucracy. And Musk ran straight into the political resistance that kills all of these efforts in Washington, D.C., which is, guess what? Congress gets to decide. They want all those agencies in place. So they sort of just did nothing and let Musk twist in the wind. And Doge is, basically dead at this point. It has, for the time being, caused some chaos, gotten sort of chewed up the U.S. Agency for International Development. But it is probably going to have a negligible impact on overall spending. So, Musk it's easy to say this is irresponsible. Musk called the bill insane because it's going to add something like $4 trillion. But he did not outline what seems like a plausible alternative. And that's another reason why it's very suspect that he would try to form a political party. I mean, if it's just going to be the cult of Musk, guess what? Musk is actually less popular than Donald Trump. So that doesn't seem to work. And guess what? The way you solve all these problems are by doing things that people don't want you to do. You have to raise taxes and cut benefits. So if he wants to form a political party that goes for it, I mean, that would be good for the cause, but I don't think he's going to get many votes.
Rick, we're always lucky to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us, my friend.
Thanks, Josh. See you.
Stick around. Much more Ask for a Trend. That's still to come. U.S. stocks retreat as President Trump reignites trade tensions with a flurry of letters. Yahoo Finance's Allie Canal joins us now with the trading day takeaways. Allie.
Yeah, Josh, today was a reminder that we are not over a lot of that chaos when it comes to some of these trade developments here. Now, it could have been some profit taking why stocks fell today. We did see those record highs last week, but still, it is a reminder that we still have a lot of unknowns, a lot of TBDs, as you'll see on your screen. So this is where things stand with our top trading partners here. We have those flurry of letters that were sent out earlier today to countries like South Korea, South Africa, Japan. To that point, you'll see Japan now has a tariff rate of 25%. In April, Trump announced 24% tariffs on Japan. So a slight uptick there, but pretty much identical. You'll see here that we have Vietnam at 20%. Taiwan is still TBD. If I go back, you'll see that the European Union, that's a biggie. That's one that Trump is continuing to have conversation with. That is still unknown here. So it's just a good reminder that we don't know where things are ultimately going to land here with tariffs, but we have seen markets largely look through a lot of this noise. There's been the taco trade, Trump always chickens out. A lot of folks out there saying that this is the art of the deal, that we are not actually going to see these levels, but we did see stocks sell off a bit on this news. So there is some fear out there that maybe we could, and what could that mean for the
future? We did have the great Adam Johnson on the show today, portfolio manager. I know Adam's take on this was, you know what this was, these letters today? It's a tactic.
Right.
It's the Trump tactic. It's the art of the deal. It's part of the bigger negotiation, right? The put and take. We shall see.
Right, and I think earnings season coming up, we're going to hear a lot from companies, and maybe they say it's less than feared, which would be a positive for equities. Another big story today was oil. So we have that surprise announcement from OPEC Plus, and in August they are planning to boost their oil output to 548,000 barrels a day. That's up from 411 a day in May, June, July. So this was more than expected. It was a bit of a surprise there. We did see oil move to the upside today, which was interesting. Perhaps a nod to the solid demand that we're seeing there. But on Wall Street, they think that oil is going to drop further from here. So these are forecasts from Goldman Sachs. This is for Brent crude. Right now, Brent is trading just below $70 a barrel. right around 79. Goldman sees it going to $59 at the end of the fourth quarter, and then $56 in 2026. So as we talk about oil, as we think about the inflation outlook, what we've seen with energy prices so far, and just sort of this whiplash that we've seen since those Middle East tensions cooled as well, this stuck out to me today.
Yeah, as we think about, to the extent we're worried about tariff inflation down the road, you think as investors about potential offsets, and oil, lower energy costs could be one.
Yeah, and if you look at the CPI print, oil, energy, gas prices, that's led the declines that we've seen. So this could be a relief on the consumer front. And then finally, we have to talk about Tesla, all the Tesla turmoil, because if we look under the hood of the NASDAQ 100, it was a clear underperformer today, down around 7%. Year to date, we are off around 30%. And this comes as Elon Musk has gotten himself in a bit of hot water on the political side. He said that he's dead serious about starting another political party. And I know you were just talking to Rick Newman about this as well. And this is something that Tesla investors don't want to see. They don't want Elon Musk to be distracted. They want him to be focused on the business, on the fundamentals. And he's just been pulled in so many different directions here. And even some of the biggest Tesla bulls came out today and said that this isn't a good thing down the line. Now, that being said, there's still 29 buys on the street, 19 holds, and 13 sells, according to the analyst tracked by Bloomberg here. And a lot of those buys, a lot of this bullish optimism stems from what could happen beyond EVs. When we talk about autonomous driving, when you talk about robo-taxis, that seems to be the focus here, not so much on the EV side, which is good because we saw the removal of those EV tax credits from the Trump tax bill and other headwinds as we look out for competitors and what they're doing on the EV side too. So, Tesla's an interesting story, but it certainly has struggled this year.
Yeah, I mean, today I just think Tesla investors, to your point, I think they were just thinking through where is Musk's focus, where's his attention. Trump was clearly not happy about it, right? And all else being equal, you'd rather not be on the wrong side of Trump and this White House. Particularly with Tesla, and really the whole constellation of Musk companies, they intersect so much with a lot of different regulators, a lot of different agencies.
And investors are used to that, right? They're used to this stock being so closely tied to Elon Musk. For some investors, that's probably why they bought into it. But because the share price is so susceptible to the moods and decisions from Musk, you have to have the patience for it. And it seemed like today, investors, the patience was running a little thin.
I saw even bulls on the street saying, and they remain bull. It wasn't like they were changing their rating, but they were kind of talking about how maybe some investors just getting, I think they use the word exhausted by a lot of this.
Exactly.
We'll see what heads. All right, thank you, Allie. Stick around. Much more As for a Trend still to come. While Bitcoin has hit records so far this year and outperforming the S&P 500, cryptocurrency is finding itself lingering below that all-time high of 112,000. Our next guest, however, sees a path where the digital asset can shine. Here to discuss this and more is Swan Bitcoin Chief Investment Officer. That would be Ben Werkman. Ben, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So maybe start high level, Ben. You look at Bitcoin here. We're at around 108,000. We've been here for a little bit. I mean, we're here, Ben, I'm just looking, we're here in May as well. What are the catalysts? What are the tailwinds that you think drives Bitcoin higher?
There's some significant tailwinds that are coming. We're seeing the regulations easing. You've got the Clarity Act coming out, which is going to put definitive clarity around Bitcoin as a digital commodity versus several others that are digital securities. So we're seeing some help from the regulations, but really the big trend that you're seeing is the adoption from corporations. And you're seeing the emergence of these Bitcoin treasury companies that are utilizing the scarcity of Bitcoin, the fixed supply, and they're arbitraging that against the lack of scarcity in the US dollar, but they're providing products through different types of securities that institutional capital can buy. And the institutional capital pools are very deep, and they're coming for Bitcoin.
About the proliferation of Bitcoin treasury companies, you have seen Jim Chanos, by the way, beefing with Michael Saylor of Strategy about this, right? And I'll read you what, and Chanos had some strong thoughts about this. They were kind of talking about the value of the company. And Chanos told Bloomberg this. He said, there's a wonderful sales job that's being done about the fact that this is an economic engine in and of itself. He says, therefore, terms like Bitcoin yield, this is Chanos, are used, and I've called them financial gibberish because they are. What do you say to that, Ben?
I think there's a lot of misunderstanding out there still around this industry. People are still trying to get up to speed with what it means to be a Bitcoin treasury company. And what that means is you're trying to acquire Bitcoin on behalf of your shareholders. And when you're doing that, your primary metric with every transaction you undertake is how much more Bitcoin is backing each share of common stock. So Bitcoin yield represents the pace at which you're accumulating that Bitcoin. So these are different concepts for the traditional financial markets to grasp, but what he thinks he's doing is the same trade as Michael Saylor, and historically, this type of a short position hasn't worked out all too well.
You know, there was a time, a magical time, when we used to actually talk about Bitcoin as a way to move money around the world, right? And then we suddenly, I think, just got so focused on the price of Bitcoin and seeing it as an asset like gold. You know, what's trading at today? But is there still a legitimate place in the world for an asset? And maybe it's not Bitcoin, maybe it's Ripple. XRP, right? Where it's a digital token that actually allows large amounts of money. Bank wants to move 100 million from Mitsubishi wants to move $100 million worth of yen from its Tokyo branch to its New York branch. We have to tie up regulatory capital in both places. But now, if there's an XRP token, it just magically happens. I mean, is there really a place for that where we can get beyond just the price talk and an actual functionality?
For Bitcoin, I absolutely think that there is. Bitcoin's the only truly decentralized commodity that's out there where you can send that transaction peer-to-peer with no intermediary between it. So that's always going to be one of the use cases. It's one of the primary drivers that came out. But the beauty about what Satoshi did when he walked away from Bitcoin, the project, was he released it to the world. And when you release a project like this to the world gets to decide how it's going to be used. So you're seeing that evolution as it's moving from strictly individuals, and some of which who were rebels in the early days, moving to finding ways that it can have a place on corporate balance sheets. It can offer securities around it, and now you're seeing it move into nation states as well as they start about talking about putting on national reserves. So it's evolving quickly before our eyes.
I mean, I think about Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan saying there's no place for Bitcoin. He likes blockchain, he likes the architecture, but not Bitcoin. Do you think skeptics like Jamie Dimon come around?
I think they do. And I think the success that BlackRock has seen with their ETF and the amount of fees that they're driving from this Bitcoin spot ETF, I think that's enough to pique anybody's interest if you're in the business of making money.
Ben, I was talking to Mike Novogratz from Galaxy on the show recently, and he said something interesting. I was running this argument past you. He said, listen, if I thought, paraphrasing here, but he basically said, if I thought the United States was going to get its fiscal house in order, if I thought we were going to get serious about bending debt to GDP in a way that wasn't quite so scary, the case for Bitcoin, he suggested, would be diminished. Now, obviously, Mike doesn't think that's happening, but I'm just curious what you make of that argument.
Well, I think it's a great argument. I think that's one of the things that's making this really successful for all these companies that are adopting it, is you're looking at one asset that is being told to you that it's going to be devalued over time through inflation, and it needs to be if you're going to incentivize consumers to spend. That dollar needs to be worth less every year to incentivize them to take it out of their pocket and transact with it. So if you want the opposite side of that trade, you need something with definitive scarcity. There's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin. That's all they're ever going to be. So if the denominating currency that you're measuring the value in is the dollar, which continues to inflate and devalue, that price of Bitcoin is going to continue to go up.
Ben, great to have you here on set especially. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Time now for what to watch. Tuesday, July 8th, we're going to be keeping a close eye on any new potential U.S. trade deals. Trump warning on Truth Social that any country embracing the anti-American policies of the BRICS bloc nations will face an extra 10% tariff on exports. Trump administration also sending letters to leaders of multiple countries, including Japan, South Korea, and South Africa, dictating new tariff rates. And taking a look at the business world, the monthly NFIB Small Business Optimism Index for June is coming out on Tuesday. Economists forecasting that number to hold relatively steady at 98.7, signaling no significant change in how small business owners feel about the economy, as cautiousness remains about the economic landscape amid tariffs and trade deal uncertainty. And moving over to consumer, we're going to be getting consumer credit data for May on Tuesday. That number expected to come in at $10.5 billion for May, suggesting a sharp drop in borrowing, about a 40% slowdown from April as consumers are being more cautious with credit cards and loans. Well, a big thank you to Adam Johnson for hanging with me today. Adam, last time you were here, my friend, you said this. You said, keep it to 2 E's. I remember this, earnings and employment.
Yes.
And as long as earnings and employment are solid, you stay long and strong in this market.
The 2 E's of earnings and employment are so much stronger than people give them credit for. I mean, think about what we've had earnings, Josh. For the past 2 quarters, we've had not only earnings growth of 12%, we've had profit margins of 13%. That combination, 12 growth, 13 margins. That's the best we've seen since 2021. And we've seen 2 back-to-back quarters. If you look at the forecast going forward, it's more of the same. So you've got earnings because people are employed. And when people are employed, they're making money. You talk about it all the time. 2/3 of this economy, GDP in the US, is driven by consumer spending. So again, if people are employed and they're out there spending money, that is good for earnings. That combination, earnings and employment, the 2 E's, that is why I am long, and I'm very comfortable being long.
What about, I've heard this argument too, I mentioned to bounce it off you.
Yeah.
Some say, you got the 2 E's, the Adam Johnson 2 E's.
Right.
Some also say, you know what, just watch the Magnificent Seven. I'll hear this argument. They'll say, as long as those big tech companies are performing and performing well, you stay along the market. Is that too simplistic in your opinion?
Kind of, but not really. I would add to the Magnificent Seven some other market leaders. I call them the next Mag 7. Two that come to mind right off the bat: Palo Alto Networks, largest cybersecurity firm in the world. Sales used to be Salesforce.com, now it's just Salesforce, which is the largest customer relationship management software company. Helps other companies mine their data and increase sales. So you start adding companies like that. I would argue Uber. I mean, Uber is introducing, as we all know, advertising, because we're all staring at our phone waiting for the car to arrive, which means we're a captive audience. Now you add the advertising banners, that'll generate $2 more in earnings, and all of a sudden, Uber should be a $150 stock, not a $90 stock. Anyway, there's just a lot to like.
Adam, it was great having you here today.
Oh, thanks.
Appreciate it. Love having you.
Thank you.
That is a wrap on today's Ask for a Trend. Be sure to come back tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Eastern for all of the latest market moving stories affecting your wealth. Have a great night.